To the public, it looked like acknowledgement, but in private, it was actually control. What if I told you the last day of Cassie's testimony confirmed many suspicions we had, like this one? In 2020, when Diddy accepted his BET Lifetime Achievement Award, many thought it was suspicious how he looked in the camera and said, "I want to thank Cassie for holding me down in the dark times." Well, we now know what he meant by that, and I'm going to get to that later. But other celebrities have been brought into the mix, like Chris Brown, a former NFL player, and we now know the multiple celebrities who will be testifying Monday. Hear me out as I break down the final day of Cassie's testimony. It was crazy. And I'll also tell you who I think the anonymous witness who is coming forward. On the final day of the Cassie cross-examination, the defense continued to attack Cassie's credibility. By one thing they did was play an audio of Cassie talking to Diddy about a freak-off tape that she didn't want to come out. Hearing Cassie say, "It's my effing life, I'll unalive you," was shocking to the jurors. And then continued to attack her credibility. They talked about the time Combs was jealous because she allegedly had an affair with an NFL player. And also, she was caught dancing with who? Chris Brown. The defense also brought up that Cassie reconciled with Diddy shortly after this infamous incident. But another thing we learned about this infamous incident is that Cassie just a week ago settled for $10 million from the hotel in which this incident took place. Now, who are the surprise witnesses? We'll get to that in a second. But what we learned about this, we always knew when Diddy accepted his award, we always knew it was a threat. But we now know it was a threat. See, Cassie had wrote a book called The Dark Times, and she wanted to sell the rights to Diddy so the book wouldn't come out, and the book detailed all of the freak off and what she went through. So when Diddy went to accept his award, he was being an a-hole and wasn't going to buy the rights. He instead sent Cassie a message and said, "Thank you for holding me down in the dark times." And he pointed at the camera. And at the time, he was dating Young Miami, who held up the sign, "Go Poppy," at the same event. And this might tell us another thing, and I'm going to get to that in a second. But as far as witnesses, we now know that Aubrey O'Day will be testifying from Danity Kane, and Dawn Richard will also be testifying from Danity Kane. And Dawn Richard says she's seen very abusive things happen to Cassie and stuff happen to her herself. Look out for her testimony. Another person who will be testifying is a male sex worker who's seen it all, and they're going to tell it all. A lot of us think this is Jonathan Odie, who told us all about this back in 2018. Basically about him performing on Cassie as Diddy watched. Now the anonymous person who is testifying also next week. Now the anonymous person who is set to testify, I'm not quite sure who it is, but if I had to take a guess, it is Young Miami, because they said it was a single mother who dated Diddy in 2020 and as recently as a year ago, and this was roughly a year ago before Diddy was arrested. And she was also rumored to be helping Diddy, which would give her motivation to flip and tell what he did to her. Matter of fact, they are saying that Diddy put hands on her and did her like Cassie, according to the anonymous thing. But we'll see who it is. The anonymous person is going to say that they were expected to have sex with escorts and was viciously attacked. Now, the prosecution did fire back on the redirect, and they did say that they made the point that Cassie, they asked Cassie, "Did you want to do the freak-offs at first?" She said yes, but they said it did come to a point that you didn't want to do them anymore. She said yes, and she basically told them she was forced at the end of the day. She ended the day by saying, testifying in the Diddy trial was challenging, empowering, and healing. That was a hell of a thing for an 8-month pregnant female with a husband watching to endure and relive, and I don't like it, but what if I told you?